So today we are going to talk about faith a little bit today. Um, and we're going to talk about three things that faith must be. Of course, no list is ever exhaustive, right? These are just the things that I felt like God gave to me as I was preparing for today. We're going to be in Mark chapter 11, verse 22. We're going to be in James chapter 1, verse 3. And we're going to be in James chapter 2, verse 20. So you can mark those passages, and we're going to just progress this way, that way. So the first thing that our faith has to be or must be, or really I probably should say it better like this, three characteristics of faith. Not three characteristics of faithful people, but three characteristics of faith. So one of the characteristics, the first characteristic that I have written is our faith must be targeted. Mark 11:22. We know this. Some of us are very. Is it Mark? It's not a Mark, is it? Make sure I'm in the right place. Yes, I am. Mark 11:22. Now we know the precursor to this is Jesus has cursed this fig tree. They came out the next day, saw the fig tree. As a matter of fact, Pastor Bill was just preaching out of this a couple of Sundays ago. And they saw it, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation. I'll actually back up a little bit to 21. It says, Peter remembered what Jesus had said to the tree, not about the tree. It said to the tree on the previous day and exclaimed, "Look, teacher, the fig tree you curse is withered." Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Have faith in God." The thing I noticed right from the jump was that Jesus, he diverted their attention. This is not a moment where he said, "Why are you surprised? Why do you question these things in your heart?" The way he said to the Pharisees. He didn't say, "Believest thou not what I speaketh unto thee?" He didn't say, "Believe in me." The first thing he said was, "Believe in God." Our faith has to be targeted. We have to have faith in the right direction. We have to have the faith in the right person. The personage of God is the only proper place, the only foolproof place to place our faith. Our faith has to be aimed and trained on the proper source in order to have the maximum effect. If you've ever seen anyone, if you've ever been to a gun range or an archery range, if you've ever seen anybody, there's a word that military and civil service police use that we don't use that word. We use the word aim. They use the word train. If an officer is told to train his weapon on something, he's being told to aim, but it's the word that they use is trained. Train your weapon. So we have to train our faith. We have to aim our faith. Because if you don't, this is not aiming. So it can go anywhere and do anything, and it will probably come back unfruitful. But if my faith is aimed at God, Jesus says, "Have faith in God." He didn't say have faith in me. So if our faith is aimed and is targeted, it's going to have the maximum effect possible. If you've ever watched an archery event, if you've ever watched professional darts, because they actually have like Olympics in darts, the goal is not just to hit the target. The goal is to hit the bullseye on the target. So if my faith is aimed at God and God alone, I'm always going to hit the target, because anything that I place in God's hand is always going to come back perfect. Now, it's easy. Listen, let's be honest, right? There's a lot of things that want to say the same thing to us. Have faith in me. My job will say, have faith in me. My relationships will say, have faith in me. My education will say, have faith in me. My connections will say, have faith in me. And let me make sure that I couch this properly. I am not suggesting that you place no faith in people. I'm not saying that you place no faith in how hard you work to get your degrees. I'm saying the proper place, the only effective, maximally effective place for our faith is God. So it's cool to know people. It's cool to have connections. It's cool to have degrees. But if I allow those things to tell me, have faith in me, now I'm on shaky ground now. I'm on shaky ground. I won't ask anybody to raise their hand in here, but I already know by sheer numbers that there's people in here with advanced degrees and you're not doing what your degree is. You paid $80,000 for a degree and you're not in that job. I know people with master's degrees answering phones. So if I place my faith in that, it's going to let me down. If I place my faith in my job, most assuredly that job going to let me down. A little bit over a year ago from now, I was working at a place. I mean, I got a job now. I was working at a place. And on a Friday at 4:30 in the afternoon, I was summarily dismissed. At 4:30 on a Friday. You get fired on a Friday? A half hour from going home? But if all my faith was in that job, if that's all I had to rely on, man, I think it's Paul, Pop, that says, he talks about if all we have faith for is this moment, this life, this it, that we are the most wretched among men, the most miserable. He says we are the most miserable among men if this is all we got. If my job, if my connections, if my relationships, if that's all I got, I am the most miserable because I got nothing to look forward to. Has anybody in this room ever been let down by somebody you love? People and connections are not where our maximum, I'll say it like this, the maximum weight of our faith should not be placed in anybody but God. You can have a little bit of this faith, but you can't have it all. I need God to handle the maximum weight of my faith because he has never let me down. Now, I have been let down when I thought he was going to do something differently, but that's not him letting me down. That's me letting me down by being all up here with it. Right? Okay. All right, so here's the second point. Let's go to James 3. James chapter 1, verse 3. Looking through this thing. I should have marked it myself, right? James chapter 1, verse 3. The second thing about faith is that it has to be properly tested. Faith has to be tested if it's going to be proved to be faith, right? An untested faith is no faith at all. That's the absolute truth. So listen, every level of our lives, every time we move on to something new, there's a new test of our faith. Every single time, every single time. 1:3 says this. He says, dear brothers and sisters, James 1, chapter 3, I'm going to start in verse 2. Dear brothers and sisters, whenever trouble comes your way, let it be an opportunity for joy. For when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So there is one thing, listen, when you first come into the kingdom, you have your faith is at a certain level. But then as you go along, as life begins to happen to you, as you begin to know that the enemy is real, but that God is more real, as you begin to actually have to operate your faith on different levels, different things come. So when you come into this building, right, you've come into the building enough to know that every chair that you're sitting in is going to hold you. Now, whether you sit in the same single chair every single time, whether you like to move around like a little variety in your worship, you like to sit in different chairs, the reality of it is that's what you have for that moment, right? Because you don't need anything else but that. That's all you need. I need to know this chair is going to hold me. That's all I need to know. And that's where we are sometimes in our life. Sometimes I just need to know, maybe I just need to know God is a provider, right? I need, my faith is being tested because when you don't have a job, okay, God, there's no income. So maybe I never had to believe you like this. This part of my faith has never been tested. This place right here has never been tested before. And when I tell you I was tested, it's not the first time I've ever been without a job in the 21 years I've been in the Atlanta area, but it was the absolute toughest time of my life, the toughest 8 months of my life. Listen, my faith got tested in that I had to believe God was going to pull me out of depression. Somebody, I don't know where Francisco is. Somebody looked at me in man cave when I told somebody about where I was, and he said, I never would have known. So be careful. Be careful. I'm just going to say this. I'm going to put a pin there. I'm going to come in his. Listen, if God speaks to you about somebody, no matter what they present, probe. Keep probing until they break. Keep asking them how they are until they tell you how they are. Don't take I'm good. Don't take I'm blessed and highly favored. You stand here. Don't look to the left. Don't look to the right. Look me right in my face. Tell me you're good. I had to believe God differently in that time. Because listen, it wasn't just a test of my faith in God as a provider. It was a test of my faith as God as a keeper. Because in the middle of that, I woke up, my eyes opened, and I realized I was a horrible husband. And my marriage was in trouble, not divorce, because we ain't nobody going nowhere. One of us got to stop breathing without charges being filed afterwards. But that part of my faith had never been tested, because we thought we was good. But it's something about your eyes being open that next level of faith has got to be tested. So what I'm saying, as long as you keep, and listen, I'm just telling you, if your faith has never been really tested, that's no faith yet. It's not yet. It ain't yet. And I'm not disparaging, but I'm just saying it ain't yet, baby. It ain't yet. Yeah. Little man, mama, it ain't yet. Yeah. But if you live long enough, as Elder Wall said, if you live long enough, it's coming. But that's the only way you're going to know how much faith you really have. So instead of always praying, God, get me out of this. God, can you move this storm? God, can you move this mountain? I know Jesus said if you speak to the mountain will be moved. I get that. But sometimes the mountain is not supposed to be moved. Sometimes you got to climb. You just have to climb. And contrary to the gospel compilation that was made very popular on TV back in the 70s, there is no smooth side, right? Ain't no smooth side. I said, I'm coming up the rough side. Ain't no smooth side. If you got to climb, right? But what happens is sometimes we getting so comfortable, right? Because now ain't no rough side of the mountain no more, right? Now everything is just smiling. Everything is going to be okay. God loves you. Greater is coming. Bigger is coming. Better is coming. Everything is great. God loves you. Just be you. Live your life. Live your best life now. Do you. Positive. Listen, ain't none of them people having their faith tested. Because if that's what I believe, let me tell you what will happen. If that's all I believe, I will see a test coming. I will go around it. I will avoid the test. If God don't mean for me to suffer. God doesn't. No. Oh no. I'm Peter, right? No, Lord, not so. And God is like, fool. If you don't walk through this test, how can you listen? This is written down. We have a doctor and a doctor coming on the platform, right? He a pre-doctor. So, and we got some doctors in the house, and we got people. Listen, an academic test, the purpose of an academic test is to test what you know. It's to test it. I got this information, I retained it, and I can regurgitate it. A faith test doesn't test what you know, it tests who you know. All the test is doing is trying to see, do you remember who your God is? That's all it is. And listen, the first hard test is just to remind you that you made a commitment to me. And when you made a commitment to me, I made a commitment to you. And my commitments don't go unfinished. They don't go unfulfilled. So, but it's just about who you know. So for me, and I don't know, I did not intend on talking about me. But when it was me, when I was going through it, I had to keep telling myself, okay, God, you promised. And you said, listen, you said if I give, it will be given back unto me. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, will men give it to my bosom. And let me tell you, and I know these two people know this, the word, that is the one of the few places where that word bosom literally means a place to hold money. The word bosom literally means an inside pocket. He said, if you give, it will be given unto you. God, that's what literally, not what a prophet or an apostle said God said, and that's cool. No. But God in the flesh said, if you give. So my faith is being tested. Who do I know? Because my faith says, I'm glad Rick is here, because my faith says, I'm going to come to covenant. I'm going to be faithful in my service. I'm going to ride the bus. I'll get rides whenever I have to get rides. And then he prays twice. Over a course of 6 months, he prays and he says, you driving? No. Okay, no problem. We're going to pray. Nothing happens. 6 months, are you driving yet? No, we're going to pray again. And then because my faith is being tested all the time, are you going to stay faithful? Are you going to stay faithful? Or are you just going to not go? You're not going to go because you don't have a ride? And then the test gets passed, right? So we in the service right here in this building, and I'm back there on that camera, and a man who I've never seen since, didn't see before, and haven't never seen since, here at the invitation of the Hayeses. Random guy walks up, hands me a check. He said, Pastor Bill said, somebody's driving Tony's car. You got the car, you got the keys, you ain't got no note because you can't give away something you don't own. Verbatim was his words. This man walks up and hands me a check for $5,000. Wait, the man don't know me from Adam. He walks up to me and says, is your name Anthony? Nobody calls me that. But even then, was nobody calling me that because Anthony is 718-212. That's that dude up there. Tony's this guy down here. But that faith test, and listen, there's no test that's coming that's not for you to pass. That's not that kind of test. It's always designed for you to pass. Always. You got the cheat sheet. But it's designed for you to pass. So, and you think about this. Think about Abraham's first test. Think about levels of faith testing, right? Abraham's first test was leave these people, leave your father, and go somewhere where I will show you. Okay, well, all right. I mean, not that it wasn't odd, but he was like, okay, I can move. We can move, right? You can pack up, right, Yvette? You can move. You can move, right? But then, as Abraham's life begins to progress, and as Abraham begins to grow up in God, God now has to start testing Abraham differently every single time. So now God got to test Abraham's faith. I'm going to give you a kid when I feel like giving you a kid. Right? So then this kid comes. Abraham's like, oh, cool. And then after all of this, God's like, we gotta come hard now. Right? This is MCATs, right, baby? 7 hours. The MCAT is 7 hours. It's a 7-hour test. Law school test, I think, is like, the bar is like 4 hours. Is it more than 4 hours, Elder Melinda? Like 4 hours? That's a test. No. He says, I need you to kill your kid. He couldn't ask the old Abraham that because his faith wasn't there yet. But this Abraham, I can ask you to do that. So if you are sitting and saying, God, you are asking me some hard stuff, God's because you've grown enough for it. You have gotten to a place where if I don't test you at this level, I can't trust you. So don't think, don't look at it. Don't try to dodge it. No. Pass the test. It's okay. Because in the entire time that Abraham was going up this mountain with his kid, there was a goat going up the other side of the mountain. But Abraham didn't go knowing about the goat. He went because it was about who he knew. God hadn't failed him yet. And the Bible tells us that it gives us a little glimpse of Abraham's thoughts. He's like, God's going to fix this. Father, where's the sacrifice? God will provide. So if you're like, man, I feel like I'm in a test. I feel like I'm warring right now. Chill. You have to have this test. If you don't pass this test, you can't be promoted. You can't be trusted with what's coming next, which is, by the way, a harder test. Because people, listen, this is just honest truth, y'all. This is just honest truth. This is it. And if you and I don't plant our feet and make a conscious decision to stand firm in the test, we will be beat down forever. Every little thing that'll come along will blow you off your thing. Every little thing, because you ain't got no faith muscle. Like you puny, you the dude on the beach with people kicking sand in his face. You that guy. Even if you're a girl, you're that guy. But this is the thing, right? So we got to pass. All right, let's move on to the third one. Move to the third one. The third characteristic of faith is it has to be a true faith. It has to be a true faith. It's a faith that has to be proved by action. Now, we know that there's always this debate about whether or not James is preaching work-based salvation and all this other stuff. But if you just read it properly, if you read it in context, okay? Listen, that's verse 20. So let's back up to, really, if you back up to 14, you get the context. Pretty simple, right? 14 says, dear brothers and sisters, what's the use of saying you have faith if you don't prove it by your actions? The kind of faith can't save anyone. Suppose you see a brother or sister who needs food or clothing, and you say, well, goodbye, and God bless you, stay warm and eat well, but then you don't give that person any food or clothing. What good does that do? 17 says, so you see, it isn't enough to just have faith. Faith that doesn't show itself by good deeds is no faith at all. It is dead and useless. 18 says, now some may argue some people have faith, others have good deeds. I say, I can't see your faith if I don't have good deeds. But I will show you my faith through my good deeds. 19 says, do you still think it's enough just to believe there's one God? Well, even the demons believe this and they tremble in terror. 20 says, fool, when will you ever learn that faith that does not result in good deeds is useless? Context. Zero to do with salvation. James is saying if you have faith, it needs to be true. And any true faith is proven by action. It's proof. You have to do. You prove that you believed in the seat because you sat down in it. You didn't think, you didn't pray, you didn't fast, you just sat down. You don't come in here every single Sunday and go, God, lead me to the seat that is higher than I. Oh, Habasha. Father, lead me to the seat that's going to hold me up this Sunday because I don't trust that seat I sat in last Sunday. It's the same. You don't do that. Watch this. So I got a couple of questions, and we're going to land right after these questions. A true faith is a proven faith, proven by action, right? So if you say that you have faith for a spouse, prove it by stop fornicating. Prove it. You say you have faith that God is going to give you the proper spouse and God's going to work things out. Move out. Struggle paying your own rent. That's the only way you're going to prove if you really believe God. You say that you have faith for healing. Prove it by expanding your vision of God's miracles. Prove it. Oh, because the instantaneous, miraculous healing is the only way God has ever healed anybody. God, I believe you for healing. The doctor says you may need surgery. I don't receive that. Wait. Let me be clear so as not to step over into something. If God has completely and utterly told you that you are not going to need surgery, you stand on that word. But I submit to you, 3 out of 10 people get that. Them other 7 don't get that. You standing on somebody else's faith. You can't. Taking somebody else's test is cheating. Isn't that right? You get put out for that. God, I believe you for healing. Well, we think that, you may have to have this surgery. I don't receive that. Did you ask God? Did you go to God and say, God, is this your healing? Is this how you want it to happen? Because if it is, I will do it, God. I will let them cut me open. I will let them take out of me whatever they got to take out of me. God, if that's how you want to heal me, I'm good. Schedule the surgery. Only 2 things are going to happen. Between now and the surgery, God's going to fix me, or y'all going to come see me in the hospital with some flowers and some candy. How you doing today? I'm doing good. I'm in a little pain, but we going to be okay. Prove it by your action. Listen, I'm going to land here. We're going to land here. If you say, I'm going to get a shout from the far left side of the podium, on the far left side. You say you have faith to be debt-free. Prove it by getting a budget. And the good elder says, amen. Prove it. God, because we say it every week, right? I'm a giver. I'm a sower. God's giving me seed, and I'm debt-free, but you still spending. Look, listen. You spending like, come on. You spending Beyonce money right now. And you on the run from your creditors. You caught that, right? Malachi caught it. Malachi. Prove it. Cut the credit card up. Prove it. Stop spending the money the way you spend money. Stop justifying the way you spend money because, well, I got it. Well, I ain't got no kids. I'm single. Prove it. Prove that you believe that God will get you debt free by actually doing something as opposed to simply sitting down. Father, give me increase. I believe for increase. I believe for more. I believe for increase. I believe for more. Swipe. I believe for increase. I believe for more. Swipe. I believe for increase. I believe for more. No, swipe this one. Swipe. I believe for increase. I believe for more. That went through? Bless God. So this faith, right? So this faith, let me open my little paper again, right? So this paper says 3 characteristics of faith. There has to be a targeted faith, has to be a tested faith, and it has to be a true faith. It has to be, and those 3 things are not exhaustive. That's what God gave me, that's what I gave y'all. And so let's pivot. Let's pivot. One of the things that kind of gets me a little jazzed up, right, is people who will say that they'll say, I don't need Jesus, right? They'll say, me and God are good. I'm on social media and I see rappers and all of these people talking about, oh, God is blessing me and I thank God for doing this. Look what God did, but they're not serving God. And they're giving off the false idea that you can live in open defiance to God and that this same God will still bless you. Let me ask you a question. Don't show up to work for 5 or 6 or 7 days and see if you get a check. Your job is not going to be like, oh, you weren't here, no problem. It's not how it works. There is a quid pro quo here. There is a quid pro quo. Your repentance for my salvation, quid pro quo. You cannot live in open defiance to God. And listen, the Bible tells us very clearly that the devil, the enemy, is the father of lies. That doesn't mean he's always lying. Yep, stay with me for a second. In the temptation in the wilderness, he told Jesus, if you will just bow down before me, I will give you all of this. Why did he? And he said what? Because it has been given unto me to give. So don't think for 1 second that he don't have some stuff to give you in this package, and it looked just like God. But you don't need to do anything to get, you don't have to change your life to get that stuff. It just keeps coming. The problem is, that's much like going, the first time, Pastor Bill, I went to a place called Fire Over Brazil. It's like a Fogo de Chao, it's a Brazilian steakhouse. Went with a friend, nothing going on, we just hanging out eating. I didn't know it was a price fixed menu. And we're eating. And then the bill came. And I was like, what? We had some salad and some stuff, but this, who in the world? This is how the enemy works, y'all. He will keep feeding you, and he won't feed you burgers. He will feed you filet mignon. He will feed you foie gras. He will feed you pheasant under glass. He will feed you the most delicious, delectable things you've ever eaten, and he won't tell you that the bill is coming. He will keep coming to your table saying, can I help you? Is there anything else you need? Can I get you something else to drink? And you will keep on doing it. You will keep on saying, yes, I'm good. And then he will come along with his little black billfold, and he will lay it on the table, and he'll just walk away. And then you'll open it, and you'll think, and here's the problem. The problem is that comes when you're laid out here, and you can't pay the bill. He won't tell you anything until it's time to pay the bill, and you won't be able to pay the bill. But that's not God. That's not God. Says, well, ain't no bill. I already paid for it. But if you don't get in with me, you can't get this. You can't even sit at the table. It's not going to happen. The Bible says you can't sit at the table of demons and the table of God. You can't eat at both of those tables. So God don't have there's no division in God. So that's what I'm saying. If we live in open defiance to God, the God that you think is blessing you is not the God of heaven. It is not the God of creation. It is a little g God who was created. But he's got a little something to give you. He's got a little pleasure to give you. He's got a little something to give you. And as long as you take it, he'll give it to you. But that's not God. So it takes more than faith at this point. This takes submission. And like I said earlier, the only time that people in the war, when they surrender, their faith is that you're not going to kill me when I surrender to you. That's all I believe. I believe that if I give up right now, you won't kill me. That's it. That's what I believe. And listen, God won't kill you if you surrender. He will kill your desires. He will kill your flesh. He will kill them ratchet dreams that you have, but he won't kill you. So if you are in the room, you're sitting in this room right now, you say, Tony, that's me, man. I'm that person. Listen, we can sit here and play all these emotional games all day long, and it's pointless. You know you don't have God. You can sit there and say, man, I've been playing with God for 10 years. Fine, I've been playing God for 20 years. Well, stop playing. Stop living in open defiance to God. Have faith that he won't kill you when you surrender and surrender.